the cool cat from Temple, Texas, Derek Frenzel. And to my immediate right, the Pollock, Tony. Yes, you do. From San Antonio, Texas, and Mansfield Bay, Anthony Mihalski. And to my far left, we know him as the mouth of the Beefmaster. From San Antonio, Bruce Robbins. And then this guy right here, to my immediate left, listen to this town. From Pea Ridge, Georgia, Mike Green. Now on a serious note, we do thank y'all for joining us today and volunteering to help us become better breeders, preparing to sell our seed stock at your sales and even off of our ranch. We do not want this to be a debate, but if y'all disagree with each other, that's fine too. You can disagree and educate us in your disagreements, all right? So what I would like to do is give each one of these guys just about 30 seconds to give us a quick oversight of how we can market our animals better, and then I want us to start hitting them with questions. Harder the questions, the better they are. Matt has a mic over here at the side. We'll pass that mic around so you can ask the question and can be heard. So with that, Derek, we'll start with you.
Nobody briefed us on what we're going to do today, but I'm Derek Frenzel. I run a Beefmaster co-op. If you were in the meeting earlier with the grow safe system, what we basically do, you as a breeder bring us your bulls post-weaning, we develop them out for you. We have 2 sales a year. We market about private treaty and through the sales about 400 bulls a year. We just put in a grow safe system, so all the bulls are going to go through the grow safe system. If you're part of our co-op, then you can put your heifers through it also. I think it's the new frontier of the beef industry. All the other breeds are doing it. We keep chasing the tails of all the other breeds, so we're just trying to get caught back up with them.
Thank you, Derek. I'm Anthony Mihalski. Been in the business a long time. This year makes the 48th convention that I've attended. If you include some of the FDA conventions I attended years ago, it's quite a few. But in all the years I've been there, I have to say that so far I only know of one man I've ever met that's come to a convention as prepared as Bill Carr. How many of y'all have your backup refills for your cross pins with you? Bill, I'm impressed.
I just told him that's where you could hunt for.
Okay, well it worked. Anyway, my idea of doing a purebred sale, I've done just about every breed in the U.S. I live in the Beefmaster business now. Love the business, love the cattle, but most of all love the people. To me, what these sales are all about, if you use it to promote your program, who you are, what you do, and what you're doing, that's the right way to use the sales. If you take your very best, it's a show and tell time. If you're looking for a place to get rid of cattle or just to sell some cattle, these sales are not the place to do it. It's too expensive, too hard to do, and your program's not going to shine when you do it that way. So you always use your sales, whether it's a consignment sale or production sale, it's show and tell time to prove and try to show your very best.
Well, thank you, Anthony. I'm Mike Green. Is that loud to you, or does that sound good to you? Well, I'm from Georgia, but I was born and raised in Texas, and not Pea Ridge. What president's on a $100 bill? Franklin, Georgia. But anyway, I started as a ranch manager, a different breed. First of all, when I got out of Texas A&M, and then went to real progressive Beefmaster ranch down in South Texas. And then I worked for BBU for a short stint for years, a field representative, and started my business in 1990. But there's a lot of things that we can talk about to help market your cattle, give us the ability to help you market your cattle, but some things I think that encompass all of it. There's a lot of things in between, but first is identification of cattle that you're going to sell, the presentation of your cattle, the follow-up after you sell your cattle. And those are some things that there's a lot in between, but I think a lot that can be talked about. And I agree with what Anthony said. There's something he said that when you bring cattle to a consignment sale, most people don't know what you have at home. But what you're bringing to that consignment sale is what they get the opinion of that you have at home. So if you're selling cattle that you really don't want to sell and that you're proud of, that's all they know that you have at home. And you want to use these consignment sales to develop a private treaty market off your ranch. Bruce?
Well, I thought you were on a roll there. I was getting a drink of water. Well, I'm Bruce Robbins. Most of y'all know me. Of course, been around here since '83. And in the marketing business with Fred Thompson. Been at the association for 4 years and then started my own business. And my deal is really pretty simple. You know, it's a lot of what these guys said compiled together, but get a plan. You've got to get a plan and then work your plan. And that's the very simple thing that I try to work with everybody about. And it doesn't matter if you're breeding them or marketing them, get your plan, work your plan, things work out. Oh no. Does anybody have a question?
Does anybody have a question? All right? I've got a question. Derek, in the bull market, what do you recommend to breeders as far as what do we look for in deciding what bulls to send through your program or any other bull sell program?
Well, it's been a touchy subject for everybody through the years. We've always done these surveys and asking what the commercial guys want. I know we all come around and they want a low birth weight, high growth bull. That's every breed, that's everybody, you know, and we all want that. One of the big things that I've seen here the last few years is the uniformity, and uniformity starts with color. We're not going to change the industry and what they perceive is under the skin, so we shouldn't fight it anymore. I think that we all need to go and I don't care if they're solid dun, solid red, or solid black, it wouldn't matter. We need to, you know, address the issue of the paint cattle that we have in our breed, because it's, you know, the two worst cattle are, you know, Holsteins and Longhorns, and we don't want to be in the same category as those. So in my opinion, that I think the color issue is probably the biggest thing that we need to tackle right now.
Other questions? Guys, we're not afraid of these guys, so step up.
Oh, give her the mic.
Okay, the question was, can you define what a paint is? Us personally, a paint, I'll tell you what we use for a paint. Anything with white on the legs, that's automatically out. And when it starts coming up over the flank, if you have white that comes up right there over the flank, we consider that a paint. Any white above that is what we consider a paint. We're completely cleaning it up. Our bigger customers, they do not want the color on them. Some of them use them, get away with it. They're having retained ownership, but they're really hammering it. You know, we go through the bulls with them and they'll say, I don't know, I really like the bull, but he's got a white foot, or he's got a little more white underneath his underline. And you and I know that they're not all going to throw paints, but it's a perception that they have. So any white on the legs, excessive white on the legs, or once it gets above the flank, any white, that's when we take it out.
I think he hits on a big thing, that perception is reality. And so you all need to be very aware.
I'd say perception is reality. We all know that, right? Everybody deals with it in all kind of business. And in our business, that's very true. And we need identity. Beefmasters as a breed need identity. And identity is developed from what your product is and what color your product is. So this color thing is real. You have to deal with it. You have to find a way to deal with it. You're not going to immediately fit every supreme individual into this right color. It's not going to happen. So it's going to take time, but it will never happen if you don't start evaluating it, if you don't start looking at it. So create your identity with your product, with your color, is a big deal.
Mark?
Before we like to add one thing to that. I agree with what both Derek and Bruce have said. I've marketed bulls for a long, long time, and I'm 100% on board with saying we have to make them uniform. That's the ultimate goal. But to get there, we're going to have every color under the sun. As we go, hopefully we'll work more towards those uniform colors. When you go to a sale, I always say you still want to go to with the strongest cattle that you can that represent your herd. A couple of years back, we were talking with the folks from Lights Brothers, a group of us, and we asked them, what selection process do you use? And their main criteria was, first, the bull has to look like they want a bull to look. To me, that's where the uniformity, color, and all those things come into it. If he doesn't look the part, they're not going to consider it at all. The second thing they want is birth weight. And there's a lot of people getting birth weights, but there's many more that are not getting birth weights. But that's one of their most important criteria in selection. Next, they want weaning weights. And those are the three critical things. Color goes in there in that pattern. When you get some of the other color, if we get all solid red, then we're going to have a variation of light red and dark red. So there's differences. And I say when you market those cattle, know your market. You're going to produce some paints along the way, but I wouldn't go to a sale that's got predominantly all red bulls because he's really going to stand out. Or market him to your local market or some way that way. But keep those things in mind, but try to add everything to that bull market. Just like a new car. You can buy the stripped down version or one that's got power windows and power seats and satellite radio. The same thing with these cattle. The more you can offer, get the right looking bull with birth weights, weaning weights, all the EPD, scan data, he's more valuable.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We're fortunate enough, we work with everybody on the stage now, but Bruce, you briefly talked about planning. I wish you'd expound on that, where I think it's one thing that people have problems with is understanding the plan and developing the plan and following through with the plan. From the making decisions to the marketing decisions. If you would expand on that, that'd be helpful.
I want to add to that. Thank you, Clark. But add to that one plan doesn't fit everybody. And that's one problem we have, that we're not all the same. We don't all have the same capabilities in one way or another. We don't always want the same thing. So you guys have to explain how you work out different plans for different people.
I think that's a great point from both of you, because one plan never works for everyone, ever. I work with lots of different size operations from 10 or 15 head to 1,000. And that plan for 15 head does not work for the plan for 1,000. Never will, never can. But the basis of that plan, figuring out a breeding season, figuring out what bulls you're going to use, figuring out when you're going to market your cattle and who to, all of those little fine points is what goes into developing your plan so that you know, okay, I don't want cattle calved in May if all my buyers want calves born in December to March, right? So that fits for anybody, any size. So there are a few little things that you can put together and say, okay, sit down, let's put it down on paper. Where am I going to market? How am I going to market? Am I only going to market bulls? Am I going to market both?
Additional to what you got.
Am I going to market in production sale, consignment sales, bull sales? How are we going to market our product? But you got to start off with how and where and when. And when you start looking at identifying that, then your plan becomes much easier to work out and to fit into whatever marketing program you have. But if you don't develop a marketing program, you can't get a plan, in my opinion.
Let me add to that too, that the first question that we ask a breeder the first time we go to their place that wants a plan is, my question is to them, is what faction of the business do you want to be in? We've got a lot of different levels of purebred breeders. We've got traders, we've got commercial breeders that got papers on their cattle, we've got people who want to get an embryo program, we've got people that you consider the upper echelon, the highlight breeders. So to me, that's the most important question first is, where do you fit in this purebred business? Where do you want to be? Then we can develop a marketing plan. And another thing is geographically, what works for you in South Texas may not work for a man in Kentucky. You know, we talk about this color thing. Well, I don't criticize color. It's like people, if they're good, they're good. I understand that there's certain color patterns that we have a hard time marketing, so that forces us to look at that and realize that that is a fact. But different areas have different types of cattle, quality-wise, phenotypically, or even color that's going to fit that area. And it doesn't mean that they're wrong. That's what they're able to sell at home.
The only thing I want to add to that is what Mike is saying is when you're, in my opinion, when you're starting out and you're going, I've worked with people that had no inclination whatsoever to use AI or embryo or be a upper echelon, as you put it. And after 2, 3, 4, 5 years, here they come. And here they are. So I wouldn't qualify it to that. I would just say that, you know, if you want to go in there and breed these cattle, then let's go figure out where you want to be. And you can do it with trial and error. You can try the AI program, see if it works for you, if you can do it, if you like it. You can try the embryo program, see if you like it, see if you can do it, see if you have the experts around to work with. Because, as he said, geographically, you're limited sometimes to what you can and can't do with certain professionals. So you have to figure out where that fits within your operation. But I would never limit anyone. I think you should shoot for the stars I think that's one of your phrases, all the time.
Aaron?
My question is, yesterday you heard about using donating STDs and talk about AI. How do you guys see that as a producer?
Because they wanted mics on stage. Well, that's why I got him to get more mics. There's more mics coming.
While Anthony's turning that on, or I'll hand it to him, what Dr. Brown asked was, where do you see AI or the use of genomic EPDs? How do you, if I'm saying it right, how do you attribute that to more money for your cattle, more value added to your cattle?
I forgot what I was doing. Dr. Aaron, I think that all goes into what I commented a while ago. You can be a breeder that multiplies cattle, or you can be a breeder that markets up here at the very top. Anytime you get into the industry, whether it's an all-natural breeding program or a program that involves AI breeding or embryos, it gets more complicated as you go up, but it becomes perceived more valuable, and it should be more valuable. You know, we can, through AI, we can get the best tools that hopefully make use of the best bulls that are out there in the industry. But it takes a lot more work and a lot more challenge. The same thing with an embryo program. You can produce those high-quality calves, but again, it's more complicated, more expensive. You know, it can be a lot more fun if you can learn it and understand it and have access to those good genetics. The same thing with these new tools, the genomics, EPDs, all those things. We shouldn't forget those things where we start with, which is basic birth weights. So many of the buyers that I deal with ask that question. If they don't understand this whole volume of information we're getting out there, they might understand birth weight and ask for it. They don't see it there. But you know, I for one, I still like the actual birth weight that's there, or at least whether it's an adjusted weight, because they ask that question. But on the other hand, those same breeders that want to market at a different level, at a higher level, or whatever they do, everything that you can offer on those cattle means it's been measured, it's been weighed and calculated, and it becomes more predictable. So as a purebred breed, that's where these cattle are more valuable. Otherwise, we're just reproducing numbers. So you add every tool that you can to it, and you're adding options, you know, to the seed stock, breeding stock. When we started these things, we called them special sales. The cattle were special. That's how that came about. So if they are special, if they're purebred, we want to just simply have as much background information, measured calculations, to try to take the guesswork out, and not only that, but to try to put predictability into the cattle that you're going to be using and producing.
I actually think too that you know, the things that y'all are listening to from various people, especially at these seminars and all, about the new things that we're doing to our cattle, collecting the numbers, and the genomic enhanced EPDs, and the dollar T and the dollar M and this and that. You know, first of all, those are dual purpose. It starts at home. It's going to allow you, just like when we first started taking weaning weights, or you did, you were identifying the cattle that excelled, that are going to make you more money. These are the same tools as we learn more and more that are going to allow you to make decisions at home, thus let your cattle be more marketable. So I think that there's a dual purpose thing.
Back in July, I sat in on a panel discussion much like this. It's a much bigger operators than what we are. There's a lot of order buyers and so forth on it. Superior Livestock put it on. And two things that I really picked up from there is they were trying to tell you how to get every cent a pound extra for your calf. And one of the guys made the comment, he said, look, if I'm buying calves through the sale barn and I see a ear tag through them, that probably means if you took the time to do that, and you probably gave them a black leg shot or another, shot, then I have less of a chance of losing that calf, so I'm going to raise my hand one more time and give you another penny or so a pound for it. The same thing goes, another man said, he said, we look through here at the added value programs, and I'll see on here that that you're part of an added value program. He said, that sounds great, anybody can put that. He said, when I see a list of all the medications you gave that calf, then that's when I started seeing added value. But I know that if you took the time to write that all down, you probably took the time to give it to your calves. And I see that a lot. I mean, everybody throws out the word, performance. And when I open up some of these catalogs and they don't have birth weight, don't have weaning weight, yearling weight, stuff like that, you really wonder just, where are they coming from with that? So I think the more data, Aaron, that you're talking about, the more data that we can start showing these guys, it shows is you as a breeder taking the time to go collect this data and want to do better. I think it's perception as much as anything.
That's exactly what I wanted to go in and dovetail right with Derek. That's what I was going to say, is that's the deal. It shows people that you're willing to take these extra steps, do these extra things, and we're all doing it to get that extra bid, right? So all that ties together, and then one more thing, they've got to have visual quality. If they don't have quality, I don't care about all the rest of that. If they've got visual quality, then you can go work with the rest of it. And all that makes sense, and it may actually pay off. But the only way you're going to find out is putting them out there.
What percentage of your customers are asking for or basically demanding that we have this new information that we're hearing about? Is it actually being asked for in cattle that we're wanting to buy?
That's a good question. It's something we battle all the time is just how much can we give these guys and afford to give them, and do we give too much information at times at ourselves, and we go through there and they start nitpicking things that they shouldn't nitpick because we give them all that information. My theory or my idea is, it's no different than us putting in this grow safe. The idea is somebody going to come knocking at my door just because I have a grow safe and grow safe data on my calves? I don't believe it. But when that guy's been using Angus bulls and he gets ready to come to Beefmaster bulls, he's been buying them a grow safe. The rest of the industry's doing it. The rest of the industry's doing the genomic EPDs. You better have the data, because when they go shopping around to see who's going to have it, they're going to be looking for that. So our buyers now, there's a couple of guys that, they come because we, definitely are looking at it, just like I told Aaron, is collecting the data and so forth. But I think in the future, the more we do, it's when the guys start converting over. I think we're going back to the 70s and 80s with our popularity. I think the doors, we have a lot of potential to go back to those days where the doors are going to blow open on this deal. The guys are going to wake up and they already started. They've lost the mama cow. They're fixing to go back to us, and we need to have the best possible product that we can when they start looking at our breed again.
I would agree with him, with Derek, that it's a small percentage that ask, but you don't know which thing they're going to ask for. One guy may ask for birth weights, one guy ask for GEPDs, one guy may ask for whatever. So as a breeder, you've got to cover the gamut. You don't really have a choice.
I think you do. Go back to, you try to breed and create cattle that have as much to offer, because you're going to get different buyers that are going to put a different value on different things. Some of them are going to feel like, they're selecting to produce bulls. That birth weight's going to be birth weight, weaning weight, their looks is going to be extremely important. We're offering them a whole lot of information, a lot of which they don't know anything about or can't digest, or they may come from a different background. So I say measure as much as you can. Give them as much information. It's got to be good and meaningful and true information. Otherwise, it's not worth anything. But don't forget some of those basics. You get buyers from, right here, I don't know how many different states are involved, but you get different people looking for so many different things or what's important to them. The other day, I had a cow consigned to one of the upper end sales. She was, at that point, right in the prime of production, but she had her 5th calf inside, and the guy in his footnote didn't put information in there about that she's long and pretty eyelash and all this stuff. He put that this is her 5th calf inside. He put the birth dates of all 5 calves, and they matched up perfectly. I had more people comment on that. There was a time we listed calving records, and if it wasn't calving records, the average days of calving. And those things are important. Sometimes we tend to blow right past those things that are maybe a little bit easier to understand, but they're very important. So I would say give them as much information about your cattle, make it factual, with some so that you can back it up. So it's true information. But try to provide and measure all that you can for them.
To go with that, are you guys prepared today,
Use the mic.
or maybe next week, to explain to these buyers what these new tools mean?
Steve, I'm going to...
Yes or no?
Well, yes, I am. I'm going to try to if I understand it. But the thing I've always said, let's be careful that we don't set a standard of trying to tell the buyers what they should be selecting for. Let's make sure we can answer the questions what those buyers are looking for. And again, we've got so much information out there, and we keep going on to these new things, which I agree they're going to be newer and better. It's part of technology. But if there's a curve and they're still looking for and making their selection based on the original information, birth weight, weaning weight, urine weight, don't give that up, thinking there's a better tool. Have that, along with EPVs, along with carcass information. Some of it's very complicated. Some of it, a lot of them may not use, but they may. It goes back to what Bruce said. And if they do, you want to be able to have it available for them.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to answer your question. You know this and you're not saying it. All this data that we're trying to gather and develop is not for the customers we have now. It's for the huge amount of customers that know all these numbers, facts, and figures that we don't have. We have a very, very small percentage of bull customers nationwide compared to some other breeds. We're just really cracking into this. These customers have now, a lot of them understand it, some of them don't. Some of them it's irrelevant. But if we're going to grow, we've got to get more customers that, and these guys already understand all these facts and figures. Those are the guys we're trying to attract so we can really have growth. They know it better than we do.
Yeah, I agree 100%. They know it better. They know it better than we do, and we're just gathering it and putting it out there so that we can be competitive with everybody else, so that we are involved with all of this, that all these other breeds are. If you don't show that you're involved with all this, you do not compare. I don't care who you are. You have to be involved in all of it. Whether you believe in it or not is a totally different discussion, but you have to be involved, you have to be relative. And if you don't, you're in trouble, and I think that's where we're doing a great job.
But see, I actually think too that by learning this, all of us, me included, I'm still learning. I'm enjoying learning more about it. But it's going to allow us as breeders, purebred seedstock breeders, okay, to identify the top individuals. And that's what it's all about.
Won't be able to hear for 3 days. I think the EPDs are wonderful. Oh. And I think it's good that everybody keeps those records and they know what they want. At any given time on my place, we're running 250 mom and cows. And every baby that hits the ground gets the birth weight, It's the weaning weight. Do they weigh half their mama's weight? Have they been on creek? The whole thing. The breed that I'm involved with and the Beefmaster breed, the numbers don't mean the same thing. Is there going to come a day when the EPDs will mean the same for one breed as it does for another? It would make it easier to purchase animals.
I certainly can't answer that, but I do know, through talking to Bill Pendergrass and some other aggressive breeders, that they are working on crossbreed evaluations. Am I correct? There's somebody out there that knows more about that than I do.
We are looking into, in the very early stages, of getting crossbreed EPDs among American breeds. Not among all breeds, but the American breeds. There has been some talk taking place, and which I think would be very valuable to us in our breed if we can accomplish that. But also, we did raise our bases, and that does help immensely when you compare to the other American breeds. We are in line now. As before, you looked at our EPDs before we raised our bases, they automatically look low. And then you had to sit there and explain to the buyer, well, the basis that the other breeds started with was higher than us. And the appearance does matter, and we recognize that and made those changes. So take another look, I bet you we're closer.
And you know, in realizing that, the SEBA bull sale coming up, what we did because of that same reason, like Carol just asked, you know, those people looking at EPDs and saying, well, those are in no comparison to Angus EPDs, okay? So what we did is we're going to print, if you can go in the BBU's page now and print the percentile rankings of the EPDs, and then we also are publishing in there how you read those EPDs, so that enables us to let them see exactly where those ranks are, not just look at that number.
More questions?
There, on your bull customers, your weaning weight, yearling weight, and birth weight, do they ever look at your ribeye and your IMF? Because at the end of the whole process, you're getting paid on your intermuscular fat that the calf is. That's how they kind of determine what your price is at the end of the feed.
To be honest, I think the industry's buying our bulls right now for the maternal bull, and they're not paying, they're just now starting to pay attention to some of that. The bigger guys are, you know, they're sending their calves to JBS and selling them, and they're calf fed, so the grade's pretty good on them. I think looking forward, and what I think we all need to be shooting for is not the guys that are using them now, it's going out and getting the new guys. And I think that by concentrating at home on the carcass crates, I think that's how we can go and start selling our product to new guys. And in my opinion, our direction is going, you know, that's probably where we need to start working on it, more than what they're already looking at it right now. The guys that are using our bulls are using them for maternal bulls. Yes, it's good if they have it. Do they come to our sale because we have carcass? No. I think that's just the fact of the matter. But what we need to do is start developing a new market for new buyers. Is what we need to start concentrating on.
I think you have more and more people
I think you have more and more people talking about it and looking at it and really trying to use it and trying to use it as a breeding tool, as an addition to all the tools that they have. And I think we made great strides with them starting to look at it and talk about it, just because everybody's sticking to it and still putting it in books and catalogs and discussing it just like we are here. And it takes forever for that stuff to go. We don't even weigh everybody yet. Come on. I mean, we've been in this thing a long time, and we are throwing a lot of stuff at everybody. So everything that you put in there, like we were talking about a while ago, you don't know who's going to want ribeye area, IMF, or birth weight, or GEPD, or whatever, but put it all in there and be relative to the industry today.
Come front and center. Y'all can just line up if you want to.
30
have most incremental new buyers coming from? It seems, it seems like we have a lot more people from the southeast than before. We'd like to get into the Midwest market a little bit. Where are you seeing new customers for Beefmaster? If you didn't hear, the question was, where do we see the new customers coming from? I've always said this, that our cattle work at the extremes, so whether it be the far east or the far west, the harshest environments are the direction where our bulls are going. Everybody, there's no need beating around the bush and going the black route for a lot of years, and I think it's finally catching up with it. I think we should beat those black cattle down in the dirt with our cattle, put the mama back in the cow herd. That's the direction everybody's going. So I think we're going to see it at the extremes from the east and the west, and need to start pulling it back towards the middle again. And that'll be in Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, and that area.
Your female market has been pretty much all over in Mexico. I mean, probably the biggest thing over the last 3 to 4 years to me that I noticed was in our female markets, the higher end female markets, the Mexico buyers who used to come and buy off the bottom third of the sale offering and take a lot of them down there, were buying off the top third and taking them down there. So it changed dramatically.
More questions?
Going back to expansion, we were talking about as far as where we would expand. In our area here, which Northwest Arkansas and Southwest Missouri area, 50% I would say the buyers are going to look at my bull want carcass information. And they're wanting to make that step. They're wanting to do that. But they do not want to hurt the carcass trade that they have right now. So in this area, we're going to expand. That is one area that we really got to look at if we're looking to expand. The question I have for you is, in this breed, we have a lot of heterosis capability. Bull just sold for $90,000 the other day. That was 50% basic foundation breed, 50% basic people breed. And the animal was amazing. Carcass traits were amazing. My question is this breed, and are we as breeders willing to take that next step and start crossing these animals up to get the most heterosis possible for this breed to take it to that next level?
Great question. Who wants to go first?
Well, I think obviously if cattle like that are going to demand a premium, then we're all going to pay attention to it. I personally right now, and I may have a different opinion a year from now, but I think right now where our breed is set, to me, the perfect animal for me to sell and the easiest animal for me to sell for you is one that's got the visual quality, has got some marketable genetics, and has got all the numbers that are good. To me, if we can right now where we're at, if we can achieve and get animals like that, we're going to demand a premium within our breed and outside of it.
When you start marketing, I hear what you're saying and what I've been involved in this thing a long time, and I've found that one of the things that people will breed for and select for and do is when there's money involved. Those cattle that are going to be worth the most money is the direction people are going to breed for. It sounds silly, but I've always said there's 2 things that make people get in the cattle business. One is green grass, and the other is greed. The opportunity to make money doing something they enjoy doing. I go back to what Derek and several have talked about. Every one of us has talked about marketing bulls, and I think everyone's hit on the fact that bull buyers are going to come from a varied background, and every one of them is going to have a different thing that they're going to look for. Performance might be most important. I go back to what the guys from Mike's Brothers said. When they make their selections, it's the bull's got to look right, birth weight, weaning weight. They even said yearling weight is not that important because when they're buying bulls not to produce steers, they're buying bulls to produce replacement females that they're going to keep. They're going to buy their bulls to produce replacement females. But the next buyer, he might be looking at it in a whole different way. That's the reason you try to produce that animal that's going to demand the value. And when those cattle are worth higher money, when it's seen, when it's done, people are going to get on the bandwagon. It wasn't years ago. I don't know what our percentage of breeders that actually use the AI program right now. But in the very beginning, it was very, very small. And to me, that's still one of the most useful herd improvement tools that you've got out there. It's the easiest one to get started with and go to. And the people that use it have grown greatly in numbers, but there's still a lot of them that don't, that can't, or are just not interested. But those that can, that's a big step. People are going to find the way where, that they can market, and they're going to market to where the best value is. So if those cattle prove themselves, if there's a demand for that market, if there's a buyer for that market, they're going to go that way. And again, we talk about bulls, and yes, that's one of our big and greatest markets out there, but we also have to produce females. When we produce females that each other in this room are interested and looking for, hopefully we're going the direction that those bull buyers, the carcass buyers down the line, are going to be looking for. So it's a matter of finding that market. I think it'll end up, just like we're looking at color patterns, we're looking at all these different things. The driving force is the dollar. If you put the value to it, it'll go there.
So what you're saying is, the original question was, is this breed at a point that it's ready to start crossing the foundation animals with the, for lack of a better term, the genetic animals that are recognized by name in our breed? I mean, a $92,000 bull, I think that's a fair question to ask you guys. Do you feel the breed is ready for that change?
Well, I think this breed started doing it a long time ago. We're just getting closer to it. I can go back and think of numerous herds. I can even think of some of those herds that were doing it before we were Beefmaster Breeders United. It was being done. But it's being done on a larger scale now, as people become aware of the value of it. And if it works, they're going to go there. To me, when it comes to marketing, if you've got an idea to produce something that is exceptional, but it's unique, it doesn't involve popular pedigrees or some of the other things, establish your goal and produce it. And when you get there, either promote that it's a good idea and convince people that it works, or accept the value that it is. And that's where this marketing is. These people are going to find, you want to produce and market something that has that demand in the marketplace. And I think we're there. We're not going to do it overnight, but we're getting closer and farther along every time.
It's market driven, period. It is market driven. This combination you're talking about, sure. It's just like back in the day in the 80s, whenever you first came along with Pride, Levi, and Crimson. Why did Pride, Levi, and Crimson carry on and do what they did? Because the market wanted it. The market paid for it. Well, if the people take this $92,000 bull and go prove it and make it happen, and the market buys it, you'll see more of it.
Yeah, I don't think it's about crossing foundation and BBU and so forth, but like Anthony said, that's been going along for a lot of years. What I think it was is what the Angus deal has been living for a long time. If you guys didn't know, the bull was ranked in the top 1% for all categories except, IMF or something. He's in the top 5%. So I think what we witnessed was the numbers were looked for that day, and there's 4 or 5 guys interested in that bull, particularly on numbers. As Bill Pendergrass says, there's 3 kind of bulls to sell. You sell pretty ones, you sell ones with numbers, and then the very few that have both. And that bull fortunately had both. I don't think it's about how it was bred or anything like that. It's a quality bull with quality numbers, and that's what the talk has been about in this breed for the last year or so. And I think one of them finally emerged to the top, and he got paid for it.
I'll tell you something else that's a concern to me, and those people that I work with know this. I'm a structure guy. I'm not going to sacrifice structure for anything else. They've got to be right first, okay? And I've seen other breeds, and they're close to where I live, big breeders. You can go through those cattle, and yeah, they got all the numbers in the world. They got so many structural problems, I wouldn't have them, okay? We got to be careful of that.
This is a test of the audience microphone. It appears to be functional. Just get right up in it and talk.
All right, more questions?
All right, I've got a fill-in question here while other people are thinking. How early should we be thinking as breeders on what animals that we want to market in a sale? Are they 6 months old, 9 months old? At what point do we need to start thinking, this animal, I'm going to sell it, I'm going to market the animal?
Well, not to be a smart aleck, but that decision is made the day you make your breeding decision. You know, when you make your breeding decisions of how you're going to breed that animal, that's what you're going to be marketing. You know, that's true, okay? But, you know, if you're asking a more simpler question of when do I identify those cattle, to me, especially in consignment sales, and Anthony can answer this better than I assume, you know, you're going to pick the cattle to fit the sale. I mean, obviously you're not going to take a black bull down to deep South Texas and sell it, okay? I mean, it's just you're going to have to fit the cattle to that sale from a nutrition standpoint. You know, I think you need to be looking at, obviously, at least 100 days out, you know, from the sale as a nutrition standpoint to get that animal presented right. There's a lot of ways to answer that.
I think Mike was right from the beginning. It's kind of what I was talking about earlier. In my opinion, you make a plan, you work your plan, and you fit those cattle into the sales based off of your plan. And that should be part of your plan. When, where, and how I'm going to market.
I'm going to kind of address it from a little simpler standpoint. One, we've got a lot of people here at the convention that come from, again, I don't know how many different states. I do lots and lots of consignment sales. They're not my favorite sales to do. They're the hardest sales we put on. It's a place to shine. My favorite sales to work with are production sales. But in a consignment sale, you're going to find a lot of varied types of cattle, just like you find varied types of breeders. To answer that question about, you know, when do you make those decisions, like if you're referring to when do you pick cattle for that sale, you need to do it as soon as possible. Bruce is right. You've got to have a plan with your program. There's breeders in here that have a plan. You've got an established program. But there's breeders in here that just have fun doing it. Or whenever they can, it's a certain event, it's a sale that happens in their region. But if you're looking at it in that light, you need to select those cattle, to me, at least 4 months ahead of time, depending on your nutrition. A lot of thought process goes into that way ahead of time as far as when do you breed or why do you breed at that time of the year and so forth. Select cattle for that thing that are going to best fit that market and be in demand. Get your consignments in early, prepare, condition, do all those things. Get your information in so they can be listed correctly in the catalog. Be prepared when you get to the sale so that they look good. Worst thing you can do is have good cattle that don't look the part. If you finally get to the point that you produce good cattle with performance, all the data that you can have on them, don't sell them in an under-conditioned situation where they don't look the part. So, you know, pick that time and present the right kind of cattle.
More questions? I seen you edging on up here. Y'all better brace. He should be up here on the stage.
Does anybody else have a question?
I've dealt with all four of you guys, of course. I know everything. This is maybe one I might be trying to answer myself, but I want your spin on it. It probably goes to all of you. But we see this in other breeds. And as we're talking, some of what Wesley said a minute ago, where we get everybody kind of looking at one or two animals. Are we going to cross? And are we going to get and really try to combine all the different sides of this equation? And we'll look at our number one enemy, brightness. I'll just throw that out there. And I go and I look at their catalogs, I look at their sales, and I go, man, there's not a nickel's difference in any of the genetic makeup or the style or the pedigrees in these bulls. So how do I sit here and choose which route I'm going to go? And then all of a sudden you look up and you've got the biggest breeders in a knife fight, and we all know they can't stand each other every time we turn around. And yet we have this great Beefmaster nation. So how do we combine the best of what we all have to offer without, one, finding one trait leader and all pile it to him right away, because that's the next great fad, and then destroying what we've worked for 20 years in a program? But how do we get those numbers, get that data, but still keep our individual identities where we can each have our own market share without getting in that Frankenstein fight?
Good question. I think it's called competition, Trey. And any business has competition, and that's what drives so much of it. This business, as far as comparing it to Beefmaster, to Brangus, or something else that's out there, how do we get our share of the buyers that are out there, those people that are considering it? I get around a lot of different people because we do all breed sales, different events during the stock shows, and go to a lot of all the same places that y'all go to. And you come across so many different people, and I get asked many times, about this breed, that breed, why I live in or like this breed. I think, on a personal level, I feel like, the thing I enjoy telling them is I've sold every breed that's out there today in the U.S., and I have. But I've known this breed, I've learned this breed, and this is my breed of preference by a long shot. And I've always said, just like the breeds of cattle are different, so are the people. And I don't know if the cattle draw the people or the people, which way it is. But, one of the things that I'll do is I'll tell them I live in this breed, I love this breed, and I'm familiar with just about all of them. So, that's my first step to somebody that's new to the industry. As far as being competitive within this breed, I think that's one of the good things that we have out there. One, the other breeds, very few of them have, not to blow our own horn, but have what this breed has. There's 4 of us sitting up here today that live in marketing. There's others that are out there within this breed. Most of these other breeds have one or none that market for them. They try to do it themselves. Some of them have success because they're big and they've been out there a long time, but they had somebody involved in their marketing at that time. We live in this breed and we market this breed. And I think I can say that, that's true about everyone here. Within this breed, you're going to find all those variations of programs. Collier Farms is a good example. To me, one of the elite programs that's out there. Very few other herds can compete with that. There's other sales that are on the same level, Collier Farms, beef on forage. But then you have, I'll give you the comparison of the live oak bull sale. About the only resemblance there, or similarity they have, is numbers. And where Collier Farms offers a very specific program with probably everything that's out there that you can find within the deal, live oak is a little different in that it's something for many members, a big, a number of different kinds of bulls, of pedigree, be it female or female sale. So even within our breed, yes, we're a sizable breed, but there's so many different size herds and different thoughts and plans. Everybody's going to market something towards trying to achieve that same goal. Everybody's got a different idea and a way to reach that goal. And the one that has the best idea, I think, is going to realize the most dollars, and that's the direction more people are going to tend to go.
And he marketed and done everything with that answer, right? Derek, you got something you want to say on that? Mike, he's waiting on you.
Well, Trey Shearer's got a program that he's developed that is successful for Collier Farms. Maybe one of the most successful marketing programs ever developed in this breed. But what they do and they're successful at is not necessarily what another breeder is developing and what he's successful at. And guess what? We're all different. We all drive a different kind of vehicle. We all buy different kinds of cattle. We buy what we like. We married a different looking person than the guy next to us or the lady next to us. You got to do what's successful for you. And it all goes back to that marketing plan. You're going to have to figure out what's successful for you to be able to market those cattle.
Well, I just concur with what he said. Basically, great question though, Trey. We've had discussions about all this in private, but the bottom line is thought. In my opinion, it's thought. You're going to have to think about it. You're going to have to spend some time with it. You're going to have to mull it around. You're going to have to deliberate. You're going to have to look at all these reasons why I want to breed a bull over another bull. And until we all start doing that, instead of making snap, impulsive decisions, that's always going to be out there. But it's a beautiful part of this breed. It's a great thing. We're a great diverse group that all get along and do things each our own way, as Mike said. But I think what's the key to that is that if we can keep everybody using quality, you know, where.
One more question. I just have no clue on this, but how much, I mean, I know you guys represent a heck of a lot of sales, but how much, I guess I'm not concerned with, I think it's an enormous opportunity for new buyers. And I'm just wondering, you know, I know these are different sales, but what percentage of your sales are amongst cattle sold to other Beefmaster breeder BDU members versus commercial buyers versus everything else? Just kind of your thoughts.
You know, we get that question a lot, and that's a great question, and I don't know if there's a proper way to answer that. I mean, we hear it a lot, saying, you know, we're all just selling amongst ourselves. But I don't care what kind of business you're in, whether you're raising purebred dogs or purebred chickens or pheasants or rabbits or whatever. Your market is people that want to buy those cattle. Obviously, for me, for example, we've got half a dozen new breeders in Georgia and North Florida now that are just getting into business, and a lot of that is due to advertising and marketing. But I don't know if I answered your question. I don't know the percentage of that, but I never really cared much about who was buying cattle as long as the cattle were getting sold. And obviously, your best option to buy is to a man that's already breeding cattle. Obviously, you want that new man in every time we get a chance. That goes back to a very complex thing about advertising our cattle and our breed. Some things that I'm not even going to get into that have transpired over the last 20 years. But, you know, a lot of that is due to advertising, how many new members we have.
Well, and I think a lot of it is this evolution. You know, you may start out and you're just fat and happy doing what you're doing with your 15, 20 cows and a bull. And then after a while, you start, I want better. You go to a few sales and I want to be better. I want to produce better. I want to get bigger. I'm not constricted by land. And it has to do a lot with what's going on at home, whether you can grow an operation or not, and where you may market or not. But your buyers are people that could be brand new or could have been here 10 years and decided yesterday, I'm going to do things different. That's a new buyer. He's been around here for 10 years, but he's a new guy.
You know, I'm going to tell you that one of the things that we do, and I know there's a perception we're all selling these cattle amongst ourselves. Well, to a great extent we are, but it's a breeder selling his idea of what's an ideal cow to another breeder that's going to do that crossing with his genetics that are there. But in the marketplace, when it comes to Beefmaster, to other breeds, I'm involved with a couple or several all breeds events. And I tell you that within the all breed industry, when I say that, bulls and females, we do a big one in San Antonio, we do several of them, we've got one coming up in a couple of weeks at Stephen F. Austin. In the Brahmin influenced breeds, when you get around the other folks in a setting like this or a social or something, you learn real quick that in the Brahmin influenced breeds, Beefmasters are a very envied breed. We've got a strong position in the marketplace. A lot of the breeds might be bigger, but we made a noticeable impression on the whole livestock industry. And to a lot of them, we are their competition. If you watch what they do, they copy or try to copy some of the things we do, whether it's marketing and those things. And you know, this is marketing and such. When it comes to selling cattle, I wish I'd never sat down and figured it, but I sell a lot of cattle, high dollar cattle. When I'm talking about heifers at $4,000, $5,000, and $6,000 and pairs higher than that go to people that get them home. They want good cattle. They want those registration papers to know that it's there. And those papers go on the desk drawer and never come out any level and use them on a commercial basis. Then you've got Seedstock breeders. You know, to me, the best thing you've got is that opportunity of a challenge to each other, the opportunity of competition that keeps driving you, making it better. And I think Bruce touched on it a while ago. The best thing that we've got and always have had is our advertising. If you pick up the cow, you see the pictures and some of the jobs. One of the things that we've got, we do have a lot of sales. We probably have an untold number of more sales in this breed than other breeds do. The other ones typically have big production sales, very few consignment sales. But those consignment sales are advertising for this breed, and as a result, you can pick up the Cowman, but you can pick up other breed publications, the Cattleman's Magazine, the Cattle Today, and all those, and you'll see a Beefmaster ad in there. Those are all those things that are going to help us grow this breed.
Eric, this is as quiet as I've ever seen you.
Our group's philosophy is a little bit different. Our cooperators, you don't really see them going around in sales every weekend and buying a heifer, selling a heifer. We've kind of developed a program that you stick with your core cows, you make them better, and you don't sell your good ones. It's a little bit different what these guys are talking about here. It's more of building your cow herd up and selling your bulls off, and that's kind of where your cash flow comes from. All of us like to buy a big, pretty heifer. A lot of times you buy them, you get them home, they don't turn out. I push my guys to, if they get the wild hair to go buy a heifer, take that $3,500, stick it in the cookie jar, and wait for the next bull sale, and put it towards what they're going to spend on a bull. I think that the biggest impact that you can make is put more money into your herd bull. You get a lot more calves out of them than to do that fat $4,500 heifer that you're going to buy on the weekends. So our philosophy is quite a bit different on that. There's nothing wrong with it. We do sell females at our spring sale, a handful of those. But for the most part, our core guys are geared up to raise bulls. So it's just a little bit different aspect. That's what makes the world go round.
More questions? Stand in line, John. You sat down and lose.
We've seen the market great the last few years, and now there's a downturn a little bit. And I was wondering, as sales managers, what advice or would you give us in the future, down the road? Is this going to stay this way, or do we need to look at it, approach it differently? We've used to these good times. Now it's turned a little bit, so I just wonder what each of his opinion would be on it.
Mine would be stay the course. We can't ebb and flow with the commercial market. I mean, it's part of our life. It happens all the time. It affects the purebred market. It usually lags behind going up or going down, but it's always going to be an impactful situation. But as a purebred breeder, in my opinion, you don't react dramatically either way to that. You stay your course, you work your plan, you plow through it. It's going to be good, it's going to be bad, whatever it may be. You keep going where you want to go. You stay focused on producing quality. And as Derek said down there, I don't disagree with that. You put big money in the bulls. Biggest mistake that purebred breeders make is not owning a good enough bull. I don't care what size operation you are. A great bull is a great impact, but I still love the great females, and the heartbeat and the blood of this breed is the females marketing out there making all of you a lot of money so that you go do more in this breed.
I'm going to add one thing to this market. Bruce touched on it, but as the commercial market goes up and down over the years, you're going to find that the purebred market always lags behind, whether it's up or down. The commercial market, we've seen some real reductions, but in reality, where the market is right now, we're still probably in the third best market we ever had. And that may not sound like a lot, but the last couple of years, we've experienced the strongest commercial market we've ever seen, but we're still experiencing a great market in this purebred industry. And hopefully the commercial thing's going to dry up. But I say like Bruce said, you always sell the best cattle you can afford to sell. You can't hurt your program or kill your program by selling your absolute best, but there's a certain time you may have to. But even in the market we're there now, Cliff, you're a good example. We just did a sale for y'all in September in this market and had a market that would have been, it was a market like we had a year ago or 2 years ago. Last weekend with Mr. Bill down south, in this market, in all these times, with no input from Mexico, we had a sale that averaged higher than it did in the 2 previous years in what was perceived our high market. But they offered high quality cattle that had performance, they had all those categories of cattle, and we had a lot of first time new buyers in that crowd. Yeah, we had a lot of buyers that, were experienced. They came there because they knew what to expect. but it also drew those new people in. So, you built the product and the people will find it and have a reputation. They'll be there to take advantage of that.
John?
On our sales, consignment and production sales, what would be about the optimum number of lots we want to have, and how do we judge that? How many lots we want to put in the sale overall?
It's the biggest gross.
Yeah, well, I know yours is. I mean, you got, there's gonna be 100 open heifers there, you're gonna carry yours there too, you know, and how do y'all decide that?
The question was, is what is the optimal number of cattle to sell in a production sale? And about 2 years ago, a man gave me probably the best advice I've ever heard. He said, only set your sales numbers to what you can sell in a bad year and make the good years great. I don't think that we need to, get too optimistic, because I do feel that our breed is gaining popularity. There's no doubt about that. We don't need to get too optimistic, and luckily with this market going down, one thing it'll do is kind of slow us down a little bit and take a deep breath and cull a few cattle that probably need to be culled that we would have normally hung on to. I think what these guys have done up here is pretty phenomenal. If we're still getting the same amount of money as what we did, 4 to 5 years ago, which is a real testament to our breed. But I think that, we don't need to cut back our numbers, but we sure don't need to be growing right now either in this market. It's going to fluctuate. Anthony will tell you it's about a 6 months difference what the commercial market does. So I really think right now we're at the peak of it. We're not going to see, real good days for the next couple of years.
And I don't think you worry about the numbers of cattle, but you worry about, or even worry about the category of the cattle. To me, you worry about the quality of the cattle. If you got enough good animals there, I don't care how many there are, you got somebody there to buy them, if they're good enough.
Cliff, one of the things though I say, what is the right number? Well, it's easier to tell you after the sale's over. Then you know what you couldn't sell. But historically, when you look at buyers and where will they come from, historically, the larger the offering, the more buyers you're likely to draw. You take, for example, a guy that leaves from right here in Missouri to go to a sale in Alabama or Texas. If there's 40 head of cattle, how competitive is it when I'm going to get there to be in a buying position? If they go there knowing there's 100 head, they feel more confident about buying cattle. When I look up on sale day morning, I love to see traders coming in, people that intend on buying and have confidence in buying and getting home. So it's a matter of what you're marketing. There's a lot of buyers, you have 40 head. Well, if you've got 10 open heifers, 10 bred, 10 pairs, and 10 bulls or such, or whatever that number, a lot of buyers, when they get started, most of the time when I get a call, it's from somebody who's wanting to start a herd with a small group of matched cows, whether it's pairs or bred heifers or open heifers or something. So when they get home, they've got the beginning or the nucleus of a program. But if you go to a sale where there's 40 head, and you come home, you got 2 opens and 3 breds and a pair, it's hard to make it all match up. I'll tell you a story. The other day at Three Rivers, we had a lady and her son, I think, and some other folks that showed up to a sale, first-time buyers, and we did have 25 3-in-1s and pairs. But she sat on the front row and just had a blast buying cattle. I loved it. She'd hold her hand up and just wait till you told it was hers. And she bought 6 or 7 of them, all 3-in-1s. And after the sale, several people made the comment she had no idea what she was doing. And I kind of chuckled. I said she knew exactly what she was doing. She gave a fair average price for all she bought on the top end. But when she got home, she had 7 of them that were all alike. They were 3-in-1s with calves inside, bred back. She had a program rather than getting home with 2 opens, 3 breds, and something of that nature. So those are serious considerations. For people that get into it, they want to buy with a good nucleus that they can get a start from.
Just to go back to you, John, really what it is to me, it's about figuring out what your expenses are, what your potential grosses are, and what makes sense, okay? But this is all about what Mike said, it's quality first. Some of the best sales at Clark and Cottage Farms, they go up there every year with less than 50 lots and have one of the best sales of the year every year. So it's about quality first, and then it's about, well, let me be realistic about what I can actually sell and what my expenses are going to be and what my potential income. Same thing that we did at Colliers when we jumped from 80 to 110 one year, but came out like roses.
All right, we're gonna have one final question, and I get to ask it. All right, in my position at BBU, I've heard, give him this mic, no. Yeah. The one thing that I've heard from you guys and from members and from staff is this thing called paperwork. What do you all, as sales managers, expect from us as consigners and as production sales? What do you want from us? And what are we paying you to do? No, Mike is first.
Now, is that, what are you paying me? Is it only about paperwork?
Pardon me?
Are you asking me only about paperwork?
Yes.
You know, I had a good friend, we all had a good friend, Trent Cromer told me one time, he said, baby, if I gotta do this paperwork, I'm getting the bleep out. So I have to do this paperwork for him, okay? That's the exception. I expect you to do better and get me your stuff well in advance so that you're not at the end of the catalog anymore. So I would
have to know you know how to do the paperwork.
I do.
Well, paperwork, our side's first. Paperwork is about you. I'm about selling. You're about paperwork. That's my philosophy to my guys out here. They know how I feel about that. They're not paying me to do your paperwork. You should be doing your paperwork. I'll help you any way possible. You do it, I'll sell it.
Now, wait a minute. I didn't ask this question for you to point to me, okay?
Perez. Other side.
All right, Anthony.
Well, I tell you, paperwork is an issue. We do, and consignment sales are worse than anything you do out there. And I want to just share a few thoughts for you. One, you get the consignment forms with a nomination deadline on it. And it's always amazing to me when you start getting calls. Let's say the nomination deadline is October the 1st. On October the 1st, you start getting phone calls saying, I didn't get a nomination form. When did I have to get it in? And you hear that a lot of times. On that form, it tells you the nomination date, the date you should send it in, and send in your original papers with footnotes. Footnotes are way too lengthy. I like factual, short footnotes that people will read. So keep it factual, keep it there. But on the form, it says send in your original papers with this information. So we'll get a nomination form back, and it'll say, when do we have to send in our original papers? All of them are sending a note. Then you'll get a deal back that says, when do you need your footnotes? Send that in. It's a tough job. If you'd see the stack of papers on a consignment sale that involves 60 head of cattle, on bull sales, which, bulls typically should be simple, but on hundreds head of bulls, you're subject to having a stack of papers that's going to be 12 to 15 inches thick. It's a lot of paperwork that we're having to look through, and then it's hard to sort through it. When you send that paper in, if you read it and send it in, mail it. Keep you a copy at home so if it gets lost, we can get a copy from you. The other thing that's a real pet peeve to me is I emailed it to you. Guys, I've had a joke earlier. I was going to read to you about emails, but to sum it up, I think every one of us up here, I know that if you ask Annette or my wife Harriet, we probably get 50 to 100 to 125 emails a day. Those emails come in, some of them will have your ranch name or Beefmasters involved on it, but some of them will come from your business, which we don't know what that business is. That gets deleted and goes to junk mail if the computer doesn't sort it ahead of time. So I always say, if you're going to send us an email, follow it with a phone call. The old-fashioned telephone works great. Say, I sent that to you. And if I don't see your email that first day, that means it's going to be buried way back there. And in our office, I check the emails. My wife checks the emails. The other lady that works there checks them. So it depends on who sees it. I love technology. It's great. But some of it, you got to be careful and not just assume that it's going through. But paperwork is critical.
The worst thing for paperwork is to procrastinate. When you know you're going to consign, get your applications off, get them out there early, put a note on it to us that your cap paper's at the office and so forth. But the sooner we can get your paperwork in, the sooner we can produce a catalog, the sooner we can build ads that reflect what we're going to be selling and all of those different things.
Yeah, I'm the absolute worst one on paperwork. But probably the thing, I'm sure you guys would agree up here, is when you get one in, and nowadays with the way electronics are, what we do is we send in all the cert numbers to the association, and they send us a upload which can go into the catalogs. And one thing, you know, how many times do we see that the ID number is scratched out and they have a different one, or the sire, they just scratch it out, send us the paper, and we're supposed to take care of it. You know, when we have a stack of 100, 150 papers or more, you know, sometimes we just don't remember to go update those things. Yeah, if you send it in, it's going to get updated because it's scratched out on the paper. But, you know, if you find that mistake, you know, make sure that you get a copy to DDU to send us a copy of the certificate the way it is, but send them the original so that they can swap it out. The paperwork goes the same way, but the story that these guys have been trying to tell all day is the uniformity of the cattle at the sale, and part of that is the conditioning. And I think when you start thinking about the sale, those cows should already be on feed, your paperwork should be in line.
Any more questions?
Most of those sales managers, how wide they delegate to.
Only me and this with the Pollock down here, we get away with it. Mike, I have to stand up for him. He does it all himself, guys. He really does.
Well,
but I pawn it off on the net, and I know he dumps it on there.
Ray knows, because Harriet helped Mr. Ray on some things, but Bruce and I, Annette runs Bruce's office, and Harriet runs mine, and I can tell you, we've got the easy job. We have to do a lot of the paperwork and stuff, but they do the closeouts and all of those different things. And, you know, you take a typical sale that's got 30 or 40 consigners, that many papers and all of that, it's a big headache. And for the most part, I'm not doing it, and Bruce is not. Our wives are. And it's a big job, and it's hard to do. And I tell people, and I say confidently, if my wife ever quits, that's when I quit. Because we couldn't do it without them. But the paperwork is a tough job in producing even the simplest consignment sale.
Any other questions? Gentlemen, thank you very much. That's the first time in my life I've called you gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Fred.
Thank everyone for being here this afternoon. Do not forget at 4